very top, this wasn't necessarily her recollection.
Reputationally, for him, it was a massive turn-off. He became a joke.
Behind Prince Harry's bombshell statement that has blown up peace talks with Buckingham Palace.
From the moment the story broke, you could feel the shift, an electric tension crackling through every newsroom and comment section, the kind that only happens when something huge is unfolding behind palace walls. Reporters froze mid-sentence, royal commentators scrambled to keep up, and every YouTube notification chimed like a warning siren. Then came the shock. The palace, an institution built on silence and subtlety, the same palace famous for handling crisis with nothing more than a polite smile and a cup of Earl Grey, suddenly chose to speak. And when the palace speaks, it's never casual. It's a sign that something has gone very, very wrong. By sunrise, one phrase was dominating social feeds and news tickers everywhere. Sources confirmed the prince had reached an emotional breaking point.
Oof. Prince Harry is refusing, it seems, to play along with Meghan Markle's game.
Everyone instantly understood which headline the palace was reacting to, because the moment the phrase surfaced, it pointed unmistakably to Harry, and the timing couldn't have been harsher. Just hours earlier, Meghan had stepped onto yet another brightly lit stage, delivering a polished, meticulously scripted talk about reclaiming narrative power, though this time something felt off. Her voice was tighter, her smile strained, and her repeated references to being silenced landed awkwardly in a room full of people invited to hear her speak uninterrupted for 40 minutes. But even that wouldn't have been enough to provoke a palace response. What did, according to fictional palace insiders, ran much deeper. It came during Harry and Meghan's newest rebranding push, a sleek, glossy campaign designed to reset their image and win back public trust. Yet between the choreographed photo moments, the carefully timed emotional pauses, and the air of selective sincerity, something inside Harry fractured, the pressure finally hitting a point no PR plan could hide.
It's the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think it's really...
Witnesses said Harry appeared exhausted and emotionally overwhelmed, with one describing him as a man who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else on Earth. Meghan, polished and composed, kept guiding the talking points, gently correcting him mid-sentence and tightening her grip on his arm whenever he drifted even a millimeter from the script. An interaction viewers immediately felt through the screen. The tension was impossible to ignore. Twitter erupted within minutes. Why does he look like he's about to cry? He looks trapped. This is hard to watch. Blink twice if you need help. 10 minutes later, the clip hit TikTok, and within 30 minutes it had racked up 2 million views. By noon, it was everywhere. Then came the true shockwave. A palace aide, speaking in that famously icy, impeccably measured tone royals are practically raised on, released a single, devastating line to the press. The Duke has reached an emotional threshold. His well-being is now a priority concern. No mention of Meghan, no blame, just one sentence that carried more weight than anything directly stated. Instantly, the conversation shifted away from branding strategies, media storms, or polished PR launches. It turned to Harry, the man, the son, the brother, whose emotional strain had become impossible to hide. Even tabloids softened for a moment, which is almost unheard of. Commentators, typically relentless, paused their performative outrage and echoed the same sentiment. He looks broken. And that's when the palace, the old guard, the centuries-old machinery of protocol and instinct, quietly began moving behind the scenes, not out of retaliation or strategy, but out of concern for one of their own.
And the kiss cam came on. And a lot of people have commented on this, but I want to comment on the specific technique. And the specific technique is misdirection and laughter. And it's an old technique.
According to the storyline shared by sources, Harry eventually reached out to an old confidant, someone from his life long before the spotlight, and that's where the emotional dam finally gave way. It wasn't a dramatic scandal or some soap opera confession, but something far more human. He admitted he felt overwhelmed, lost, and like he couldn't breathe. Those words, insiders claimed, were the ones that sent quiet alarms echoing through palace corridors. Meanwhile, back in California, Meghan was reportedly furious over how the footage had been interpreted online. Her team moved fast, trying to reshape the narrative with precision. Harry was fine. The couple was unbothered, the speculation was baseless. But this time, the public wasn't listening to tabloids or gossip outlets. The reactions were coming from ordinary viewers who simply saw pain on a man's face. Even body language analysts, who appear during moments like these as reliably as mushrooms after rain, chimed in, noting what they described as signs of emotional fatigue and saying Harry's slumped shoulders signaled a man weighed down by more than anyone knew.
Was correct to warn Prince Harry about his relationship with Meghan Markle.
The clip was dissected from every angle, slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed frame by frame, as if the entire world was holding its breath while watching a prince who once radiated mischievous charm now appear like a dimmed version of himself. Meghan's supporters pushed back online, insisting the public was simply reading too much into normal exhaustion, but even the most loyal voices couldn't explain why the palace suddenly intervened. The palace doesn't step in to manage gossip, they step in when they sense vulnerability, when they fear someone may be slipping beyond reach. That's what this moment felt like. A man stretched thin, overwhelmed, trapped in a version of life that no longer fits but can't be abandoned without consequences. Then late that night, another leak dropped. Harry had reportedly pulled out of an upcoming appearance, citing personal reasons, and that alone sent shockwaves through commentary circles, because the Sussexes almost never cancel anything that could bolster their visibility. Commentators reacted in stunned disbelief, social media exploded with theories, and the questions multiplied. Was Harry fed up with feeling paraded around? Did Meghan unknowingly push him too far? Was the pressure finally crushing him? And what exactly did the palace know, or fear, that drove them to act now? Because whatever was unraveling inside Harry didn't begin overnight, and it certainly wasn't over.
Fed up of being paraded around and...
The moment Harry canceled that appearance, the story didn't just trend, it detonated, sending a shockwave across international media. Phones buzzed non-stop, morning shows dumped their planned segments, and royal reporters spat out their first sips of coffee as the frenzy erupted. While the world scrambled for answers, Meghan moved fast. There was no hesitation, only what insiders described as a controlled fury. Her team blasted out statements insisting Harry was simply resting, that the viral footage was misleading, and that the palace's earlier comment had been misinterpreted. But palace statements are never misinterpreted. Every syllable is engineered by a team of professionals trained to anticipate emotional fallout with surgical precision. If they implied Harry was struggling, they meant exactly that. So the public wasn't buying Meghan's rebuttal, especially with the story feeling so raw. Still, she pushed harder, appearing at a charity event looking impeccably polished, every detail calibrated to project calm perfection, but viewers noticed the tension in her eyes, a flicker of frustration beneath the gloss. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the palace machinery was moving faster than it had in years. A confidential meeting reportedly brought together William, senior advisors, and mental health specialists, not to counter Meghan, but to protect Harry. For all the drama over the years, William still views Harry as the little brother he once shielded, the one he still worries about. Insiders said he wanted to reach out personally, but advisors warned it might worsen the situation or spark accusations of interference. So instead, the palace prepared a different kind of response: subtle, deliberate, and unmistakably British.
On their own, and everyone else will figure it out so that he doesn't have to? That sounds like his life.
The palace quietly released an old photo of the brothers at a charity event, arms around each other, smiling. No caption, no explanation, just a subtle reminder of who Harry used to be. The internet immediately exploded. Headlines questioned whether William was extending an olive branch, whether this was a lifeline, whether the palace was signaling support, and whether Harry might be coming home. Hashtags like #BringHarry and #FreeHarry surged across social media as public sympathy unmistakably shifted. For the first time in a long while, the focus wasn't on Meghan, it was on Harry, and the narrative changed. Harry is struggling, and the palace is trying to protect him. Panic hit Meghan's team. Their PR machine scrambled to respond, posting new photos of Harry and Meghan laughing together in Monaco, but viewers noticed subtle cracks. Harry's smile seemed forced, his hand placement appeared carefully directed, almost staged. Within minutes, memes flooded in. TikTok zoomed obsessively on every micro-expression as if analyzing surveillance footage, Twitter mocked the lighting, and Instagram quietly noted what everyone was thinking. He looks checked out. Meanwhile, the palace wasn't finished, and the story was only just beginning to unfold.
Is planning a shameless return to the UK in 2026 with a plan to, and I quote, sow the seeds for a semi-permanent return.
The palace quietly released an old photo of the brothers at a charity event, arms around each other, smiling. No caption, no explanation, just a subtle reminder of who Harry used to be. The internet immediately exploded. Headlines questioned whether William was extending an olive branch, whether this was a lifeline, whether the palace was signaling support, and whether Harry might be coming home. Hashtags like #BringHarry and #FreeHarry surged across social media as public sympathy unmistakably shifted. For the first time in a long while, the focus wasn't on Meghan, it was on Harry, and the narrative changed. Harry is struggling, and the palace is trying to protect him. Panic hit Meghan's team. Their PR machine scrambled to respond, posting new photos of Harry and Meghan laughing together in Monaco, but viewers noticed subtle cracks. Harry's smile seemed forced, his hand placement appeared carefully directed, almost staged. Within minutes, memes flooded in. TikTok zoomed obsessively on every micro-expression as if analyzing surveillance footage, Twitter mocked the lighting, and Instagram quietly noted what everyone was thinking. He looks checked out. Meanwhile, the palace wasn't finished, and the story was only just beginning to unfold.
Go back to the UK so bad, it's scary. He's on the verge of a mental breakdown.
A second insider leak soon hit the press, suggesting Harry had voiced a longing for stability and homesickness for the UK, a phrasing that didn't quite match Meghan's style, or even Harry's usual tone, but instead read like a carefully crafted message, a warning shot across the Atlantic. Meghan reportedly erupted that evening at the Montecito estate, storming through the house demanding to know which staff members might be quietly feeding information to London. Tensions soared, voices were raised, and the atmosphere became almost combustible. Meanwhile, Harry retreated to his home office, shutting the door not to coordinate PR, draft statements, or manage damage control, but to reach someone in the UK who knew him before the public scrutiny began. After that call, the emotional dam finally broke. Sources claimed he cried, not from anger, but from sheer, suffocating exhaustion, confessing he felt torn between two worlds, two identities, two futures, and, perhaps most painfully, two loyalties. When he finally emerged into the hallway, Meghan was waiting, arms crossed, asking the loaded question, "Are you with me? Or against me?"
As the court decision is out.
It was the question Harry had feared for years, and the world seemed to pause. The press, the palace, the internet, the entire global stage, because his answer would shape everything that came next. He didn't answer Meghan immediately. In fact, he didn't answer at all. He walked past her, not rudely or aggressively, but with the slow, numb steps of someone whose mind was far, far away. Meghan hated it. Silence was her enemy, and for the first time since moving to America, she wasn't steering him either. She followed down the hallway, frustration sharpening with every step, but before she could corner him, something else detonated. A leak, no one knows exactly who, reached a journalist, providing explosive details from Harry's private call to the UK. Not the full conversation, but enough to ignite a wildfire. Prince Harry has privately reached out for guidance as he navigates emotional strain. He is said to feel caught between roles and longing for steadiness. Senior royal aides are preparing for multiple possible outcomes. Those 3 lines were all it took. Within minutes, #PrayForHarry was trending worldwide. Talk shows cut segments mid-broadcast to cover the update. Even late-night comedians paused their routines, blinking in disbelief.
Inundated with offers for movies over the 8 years since she retired from showbiz.
Meghan felt the earthquake because this latest leak didn't cast her as a villain. It rendered her irrelevant. The story wasn't about her versus the palace. It was about Harry's emotional state, positioning him at the center of a wave of global sympathy she couldn't control. Her team scrambled, cycling through denial, reframing, and downplaying, but it was futile. The public craved the story of a prince caught between two worlds, and for once, the spotlight wasn't on her. Behind closed doors at Buckingham Palace, William reportedly paced, jaw tight, older than his years, not in anger, but in worry. Advisors debated caution versus action, but William simply wanted one answer. Is he safe? Meanwhile, Meghan's focus was different. She wasn't losing followers or media influence. She was losing narrative gravity. That evening, she demanded an emergency call with her PR chiefs, strategizing like a general planning a counterattack. We're not letting them make him look weak. He's not unstable. He's not fragile. This is spin and we fight it. Yet even her team knew this wasn't spin. This was Harry's reality leaking through cracks no PR shield could seal. Alone in the garden, Harry sat on the stone steps by the olive trees, staring into the Montecito dusk with a hollow, faraway look, the kind of exhaustion you cannot fake or polish. Then came another blow, a quiet, calculated line from a palace source to the press. There are growing concerns for the Duke's long-term well-being. That single sentence transformed the story from gossip into a mental health alarm, and the world took notice. Hollywood, political commentators, ordinary viewers alike. Meghan's worry sharpened. She wasn't just losing control of the narrative, she was losing any ability to predict Harry, to anticipate which parts of him were cracking and which were reaching out. The palace, protective and subtle, moved quietly, like a shadow lowering between him and the storm. Cars arrived at Kensington, late-night consultations convened, and one insider left at 3 a.m., pale-faced. It's worse than we thought. Harry woke before sunrise, phone vibrating nonstop, lights glowing through Montecito curtains, while Meghan slept unaware of the tidal wave about to hit. Opening a thread from William, 3 simple messages read, "Call me when you can. We're concerned. This is not a battle. We just want you safe." Harry lingered on that final line. Not angry, not strategic, just protective, and for a moment, something inside him loosened. Then at 6:02 a.m. UK time, a London outlet dropped the headline, Palace source. Harry is at risk of collapse if tensions continue. No blame, no scandal, just stark, clinical warning, and mysteriously, no denial. Across the hallway, Meghan stirred, ready to go into crisis mode, and Harry knew he had no strength left. When she confronted him in the kitchen, tension thick in the sunlight, she accused the palace of framing him. He shook his head. "No, they want me back, sure, but they're not attacking. They're worried." Meghan's calm, surgical tone belied the battlefield she saw. Harry finally looked at her and whispered, "I just need a minute." But she couldn't pause. She reached for her phone, determined to reclaim the story. "Meghan, don't," he said. "If I don't step in now, they'll own the story." "Let them," he murmured, words heavy not with defeat, but with exhaustion, quiet strength, and a man holding on to the last piece of himself that it was liberation for Harry. He wasn't choosing the palace over Meghan, America over Britain, or media silence over strategy. He was choosing peace, the one weapon Meghan didn't know how to fight. She set her phone down, whispering, "You want them to win." "No," he replied softly. "I just don't want to keep losing myself." That line would later become a headline across countless talk shows and panels, but in that moment, it was only for her, brutally honest. Then Harry's UK security liaison buzzed with a brief, clipped message, "Statement incoming, approved by senior office, not hostile." Meghan inhaled sharply. Releases without coordination were dangerous. Harry, calm, said, "They don't have to coordinate with us." 10 minutes later, Buckingham Palace posted a concise, carefully worded message. "The Duke of Sussex remains a cherished member of the family. We ask the public respectfully to give him the space and compassion he deserves as he manages private challenges." No shade, no accusations, just humanity. Social media exploded. Pundits scrambled. Meghan's team sent frantic drafts, but Harry sat quietly, peaceful, as if the weight of 6 years had lifted. Meghan realized, to her horror, that the palace wasn't fighting her. They weren't exposing or silencing her. They were simply reminding Harry of a place where he didn't have to perform, spin, or be strong every second, and for the first time, he wasn't afraid of disappointing her. Palace corridors buzzed like never before, aides whispering anxiously, Harry's meltdown now a public spectacle. Meghan issued unprecedented demands, controlling every detail of Harry's schedule, social interactions, and communications, while his once confident demeanor eroded under constant pressure to comply. Staff noted a visible strain, shaking hands, tightened jaw, forced smiles, as the palace discreetly escalated protective measures. Private counseling, buffers from public scrutiny, and emergency consultations. Any overt intervention risked narrative backlash, yet the stakes were high. The media smelled blood, magnifying each minor slip. Calls to confidence grew shorter, laughter faded, spontaneity disappeared, and Harry's spark dimmed. The palace acted quietly, filtering communications and providing safeguards, while the public dissected every glance, every gesture, every photo, hashtags trending, social commentary exploding. The crisis escalated into a complex drama of personal relationships, public perception, and institutional obligation. Meghan's influence, whether strategic, manipulative, or protective, had reshaped the narrative around Harry, leaving insiders and the public questioning his autonomy. The royal family had entered uncharted territory. Harry's private vulnerability had become a public spectacle, testing centuries of protocol. In the eye of this storm, his humanity, fears, frustrations, heartbreak was exposed for all to see, forcing the palace to confront a reality no tradition could fully contain.